CET, NCERT presents Louis Braille, A Touch of Genius, the world at his fingers.
Imagine tasting your mother's fresh bread, but not being able to see the face of your mother. Imagine smelling the leather of saddle in your father's workshop, but not being able to watch him work. This was the world of a young blind boy named Louis Braille.
But it was not till he was 3 years old. He could see the beauty of nature, movements of clouds in the sky, colorful butterflies hovering around colorful flowers, squirrels jumping on the branches of trees.
Around 200 years ago, in the early weeks of 1809, 3 baby boys were born who changed the course of history. Abraham Lincoln, 16th President of United States of America; Charles Darwin, father of the theory of evolution; and Louis Braille, the French inventor of a means of literacy for blind people world over. These 3 remarkable men would lend their brilliance and genius to a century of great challenge and service. But only one escaped fame during lifetime. Braille's genius is little known outside the native land, except those who have been benefited by his gift of a method to read by touch. The blind people are as indebted to Louis Braille as mankind is to Gutenberg.
In Coupray, France, a small country village about 40 kilometers east of capital city of Paris, there stands a little stone house that grew a little livelier with the birth of the 4th child on January 4th of 1809.
The Brailles did not have a lot of money, but they were a loving group. Curly blonde-haired Louis lived with his mother Monique, his father Simon René, his 2 older sisters Monique Catherine and Mary Céline, and his older brother Louis Simon. His older sisters read to him. His older brother took him for walks.
Louis' father, Simon René, was known throughout the region as a master craftsman. He made leather straps and reins for horses. There were many tools like the fat modern mallets, the sharply pointed awls, the knives as keen as razors on the bench of his father's workshop. And Louis liked to watch him while he cut and shaped the leather into harnesses.
Little 3-year-old Louis was always curious. He showed early signs of being quite smart. His parents decided this little one would be an educated one. But one day, everything changed.
Papa, I love your work. I want to work like you. What is this?
No, Louis, don't touch them. These tools are very sharp, not playthings. You must never touch them. Be careful. Otherwise, you will hurt yourself.
In 1812, one morning, his father had gone to see the Napoleon's army, leaving France for the invasion of Russia, and his mother was busy in the farm. One local legend has it that the distraction that caused Louis' father leave his workbench unattended was the news of Napoleon's army leaving France for the disastrous invasion of Russia.
But the temptation was too strong. Louis ran over to the workbench. He climbed up on his father's jaw, lifted a knee, and hoisted himself onto the workbench. Imitating his father, curious Louis picked out an awl. Soon he held it in his chubby fist and began to jab at a stray piece of leather. Pretending to measure with one eye, as he had often seen his father do, Louis bent his head close to the leather scrap and stabbed hard with the awl. The work was hard. Leaning closer, he punched again, but the leather was tough. He bent his head forward a bit more, brought an awl down with all his might. He bent his head forward a bit more, brought an awl down with all his might. The sharp tool glanced off the slippery surface of the leather.
This is right.
Louis had poked the sharp tool into his right eye. Louis was crying in pain. Blood was streaming down his face.
The injured eye became infected because of a disease named sympathetic ophthalmia. This is a peculiar disorder where the infection from one eye spreads automatically to the other eye.
The village did not have a doctor, so a local healer tried to help. Perhaps because of the ministrations of the local healer, infection set in. Over the next year, the infection spread to the left eye from the right eye. But the eye did not heal, and thus there was only darkness in front of his eyes.
By the fall of 1812, all hope for Louis' recovery was gone. Before he was 4 years old, little Louis was completely blind. The Braille family pulled together to cope with his blindness. The completely blind Louis used to ask his mother,
Mother, when will the sun rise? When will the moon appear in the sky?
Oh dear, you are really unfortunate. You will never be able to see the moon and the stars.
Fortunately, in 1850, when Louis was 6 years old, Abbé Jacques Payouy, a new priest of Saint Pierre Church, and Antoine Becheret, a local schoolmaster, came to their village. In those days, it was unheard for a blind child to attend a village school.
Son Louis, you will have to come to church 4 days every week.
Yes, Father, definitely.
I'll teach you how to identify the songs of the birds, how to recognize the cries of the animals, and also how to feel the fragrance of the flowers.
Yes.
I'll tell you why the seasons change and why night becomes day. And I will narrate many more interesting stories.
But would I be able to read books and write like my brothers and sisters?
Well, Louis, you ask me such puzzling questions that I'm totally bewildered. You have really an amazing memory. You are exceptionally inquisitive and brilliant. I only wish if you could read books.
Louis was an inquisitive and creative student, characteristics that were to play a role both in the tragic accident that caused his blindness and in his triumph over the limitations in reading that were the normal consequences of blindness during those days.
Well, Mr. Simon René.
Yes, Father.
Your son is indeed a talented cellist and organist. And he's different from other children. He's ever eager to learn.
Yes.
And so he should join some special school.
Thank you, Father. It will be so done.
In February 1819, just 6 weeks after his 10th birthday, Louis and his father made the 4-hour stagecoach trip to Paris. There, Louis was sent on scholarship to the Royal Institution for Blind Youth in Paris, where blind children were educated and taught a trade.
Louis became the youngest student at the school and was assigned number 70, which was attached to his bed and to his locker, as well as to a badge he wore on his new uniform.
The Royal Institute for Blind Youth was located in a run-down old building near the River Seine.
In the afternoon, the children were taught basic craftsman skills and simple trades.
The student Louis was spending his days in the residential school. Everything was normal here, but one thing always disturbed him. The school had only 14 books, and Louis had read each one of them.
Louis was an outstanding student and excelled in every subject. He especially enjoyed the music classes.
Sometime later, another visitor would have an equally large influence on Louis Braille's future. In 1821, Charles Barbier de la Ségue, a captain in the French army, visited the school.
In response, Emperor Napoleon's demand for a code, Charles Barbier actually invented a way for soldiers to communicate silently in the dark. He called his system night writing, a code of 12 raised dots and a number of dashes on thin cardboard, which could be felt with the fingers. Louis adjusted quickly to the life at school, and he made the first of the many friends there he could keep all his life, fellow student Gabriel Gauthier.
The dormitory was dark and still. Only one boy was still awake. He sat on the edge of his bed at a far corner of the room, holding a writing board and a sheet of thick paper on his lap. Working slowly, deliberately, he punched tiny holes across the page with the sharp point of a stylus. Every so often, he paused and ran his fingers across the raised dots on the opposite side of the paper. He was interrupted by a husky whisper coming from the next bed.
Louis? Huh? Is that you? Still punching dots?
Shh. Shh. Be quiet, Gabriel. It's too late. You'll wake up everyone.
You would better quit and get some rest. Louis, you know better, our director. He'll be furious if you doze off in the class again.
I know. I'm almost finished now. You go back to sleep.
The same conversation took place almost every night. Same questions, same answers. The general idea of a tactile alphabet that would allow blind persons to read and write also began to take shape in his mind at this time.
Barbier later adapted the system called sonography, because it represented words according to sound rather than spelling.
Soon Louis discovered both the potential of the basic idea and the shortcomings in some of Barbier's specific provisions, such as the clumsy 12-dot cell and the phonetic basis. But it inspired a 13-year-old Louis Braille to experiment with raised dots as the basis of a special alphabet for the blind. A new director, Dr. Andre Pena, was appointed in 1821. He recognized the genius of the system and encouraged Louis in every way he could.
Within 3 years, in October 1824, Louis, now 15 years old, unveiled his new alphabet right after the start of school. He had found 63 ways to use a 6-dot cell and based upon normal spelling, though some dashes were still included.
I thought that like 6 dots on a Ludo dice, we will require 1 pattern each for a given alphabet. Since French language is in Roman script, we require 26 dots. Since French language is in Roman script, we require 26 dot patterns for 26 alphabets. Yeah.
His new alphabet was received enthusiastically by the other students. Blind people could read the letters by feeling them, and normal vision people could read the letters with their eyes. Louis called the method raphigraphy.
Louis lived a busy and productive life at the Institute. He studied the organ, played for church services, and took classes for the Collège de France. When he was 17 years old, he began to tutor younger students at the Institute.
Louis, I am pleased with your work.
Thank you, sir.
I want you to accept the position of teacher in my institution. And I am sure that students will be immensely benefited by a kind and passionate teacher.
I'm obliged, sir.
Two years later, Pena created still another opportunity for Louis, appointing him the first blind apprentice teacher at the school. Louis taught algebra, grammar, music, and geography. In return, he received room and board at the institute and a small salary.
Louis Braille was a kind, compassionate teacher. He was greatly admired and respected by his students.
Despite the best efforts of Dr. Pena, the new method of raised dots could not become popular. Further, financial aid for refinement and research was also not coming from any source. He then turned his efforts towards developing a way that blind people and seeing people could write to each other. He knew that not many sighted people would learn the raised dot alphabet, therefore blind people would have to learn the regular alphabets also.
Braille later extended his system to include notation for mathematics and music. The first short book in Braille was published in 1829 under the long title Method of Writing Words, Music, and Plain Songs by Means of Dots, for use by the blind and arranged for them.
Louis' public triumph would finally come at the new building's dedication ceremony the following February. Dufo glowingly described Louis Braille's system of writing with raised dots.
Look at this one.
You saw the building? New building.
Have you seen Louis Braille? You haven't.
I welcome you all to this special function of dedication of our new school building. We are extremely privileged by the presence of Louis Braille, a great inventor of a system of reading and writing with raised dots for the visually impaired people. We will now have a demonstration of this method. You, pretty girl. Yes, you. Come to the stage.
Me, sir?
Yes, I mean you, my dear. I will now dictate a few lines.
Yes, sir.
Amazing grace. How sweet the sound
How sweet the sound.
that saved a wretch like me.
A wretch like me.
I once was lost.
Yes, sir.
I once was lost,
Was lost.
but now am found.
Am found.
Was blind, but now I see.
But now I see.
Now, will you read aloud what you have written?
Yes, sir. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see.
Very, very good. Very clear. It's demonstration. Demonstration.
Sir, it's perfectly all right. But how can we be sure she was not prompted the poem in advance or must have memorized the text in advance?
Or it might be a trick also.
Yes.
Yes.
Officer, go and check her pocket.
Sure, something good.
Let's see what comes out.
Sir,
Yes.
nothing is there except a theatre ticket.
Really? How can it be so?
Like that also.
Yes.
What's this?
Here comes Louis
What is
Braille.
it they want to prove?
Let's see what he has to say. Something. Yes.
Be quiet. Little girls there, Mary and Winnie, please come on the stage. Thank you. Both are our school students. Mary, you remain here.
All right, sir.
And Winnie, you go there in that room and remain there till I call you. Is there anybody in the audience who is a music teacher?
Sir, I'm a music teacher.
Very good.
Now, tell me what you want me to do.
Listen, I would like that you dictate a simple musical notation to this girl standing by your side.
Right. Well, here is your dictation.
Yes, sir.
Do, mi, so, do,
So, do.
ti, la,
Yes, sir.
ti, do,
Do.
fa,
Do, fa.
mi, do,
Yes, sir.
mi, fa.
Mi, fa.
That's it.
All of you have just now watched Mary writing the musical notations on this paper with dots. Now, I would like to call Winnie on stage from that room there. Winnie, take this paper from Mary. The musical notations are written on it.
Yes, sir.
Decipher them and read them aloud so that they can be heard by everybody here.
All right, sir.
Thank you.
Amazing grace.
Oh my God.
How sweet the sound that
Unbelievable.
saved a wretch
She's so good.
like me.
She has read
I once
perfect.
was
And has-
lost, but now
Great.
I'm found. Was blind,
Very good.
but now I see.
She has read flawlessly
Great.
and has not committed any mistake. Mind it, she has not heard it.
Remarkable demonstration.
Mind it.
And thus, Louis tasted the first success of his life.
Louis became gravely ill in December of 1851. He remained calm and at peace, convinced that his mission on earth was finished. 2 days after his 43rd birthday, January 6, 1852, 7:30 on the evening of Epiphany, the 12th day of Christmas, Louis Braille died of tuberculosis at the age of 43. Not a single Paris newspaper reported his death. The stone house in Coupbray, where Louis Braille was born and grew up, is now a museum. The street on which it stands is named Louis Braille Street. Visitors to the museum can view documents and mementos relating to the life and work of Mr. Braille. On the wall of the house is a plaque which reads, "In this house on January 4th, 1809, was born Louis Braille, the inventor of the system of writing in raised dots for use by the blind. He opened the doors of knowledge to all those who cannot see." One after another, countries around the world recognized the benefits of Braille. In 1890, Braille was adopted in schools for the blind in Austria, Belgium, Denmark, England, Germany, Spain, and Scotland. In 1917, the United States of America recommended that Braille be used in its schools. And in 1949, under the leadership of the United Nations, work began on adapting Braille to more than 200 languages and dialects throughout the world. Braille had become a universal language. You were listening to a program, Louis Braille, A Touch of Genius, The World at His Fingers. Research, script and coordination by Dr. Jitendra Singh. Participants were Ashok Ojha, Rajashri Trivedi, Nasiruddin Khan, Rajat Sengupta, Pradeep Kumar, Brian Mendonka, Akash, Ashish and Henna. Recording by Deepak Pandey and Amita Bhatti. Production assistants Dao Dayal Chaturvedi. Produced by Ajit Horo. Presented by Central Institute of Educational Technology, NCERT, New Delhi.